Crystal here from Crystal Clear ESL. I'm really excited to invite you all to join me today for a little bit delayed monthly live. Today we are back with Allison from Edudaptable, and I'm really excited to be talking about virtual classroom platforms. This is a topic that we have hit on before, but it was about a year ago, and I feel like the possibilities for online teachers a year on from that have opened up hugely. So Allison and I are going to work together and go at a really quick pace to highlight probably our top 5 debatable classroom platforms and what the sort of features are of each, how they stack up against one another, and some overall love it or leave it type recommendations. So please help me welcome Allison. Ready? Hey, Allison, welcome.
Crystal, how are you? And greetings from the US this morning.
Yeah, it's early morning there, is it? What time are you at?
It's only 8:30, so it's not as early as some mornings have been for me.
Yeah.
Online, so this is actually a good time.
Yeah, perfect. We're midday. 1:30 here in the UK. So I guess there are people joining us from all over the world. Feel free to give us a shout and a hello and say hello to Allison. Just be sure to click the little button below to log in with StreamYard so that we can see who we're talking to, and be aware there's about a 10-second delay. So if we don't get to you straight away, it's not necessarily that we're ignoring you. And if you're tuning in later, feel free to pop your comments and questions in the feed here, and we will be notified and come back to answer them. So please do that. Right, so I am going to go ahead and get the slideshow up. Wow, it's worked. Look at that. Brilliant. So we're talking about teaching platforms and how to really amp up your teaching by, that's what it is, by choosing the right one that's best for you. So, Allison, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and how you became interested in this topic?
So I am an educator by trade, but in the last 5 years, I worked for VIP Kid, and all of you who have worked with the Chinese companies know how that all went. So in the past year, I have been trying to help teachers to pivot and make a profitable business for themselves, and just learning a lot on my own as I go through this, because I am a kind of a researcher by nature. And so this is one of the things that we need. And as we are creating our new businesses, there are a lot of things that we're learning that we need that we didn't know that we needed when we were working for the companies. And there are a lot of new platforms out there that are actually seeing the need and reaching that need, working to reach that need for the teachers. And that's really exciting to me.
I totally agree. It's come so far in the last year, and I think a lot of virtual classroom platforms, or even not classroom, we're even incorporating some new use cases from companies that did target the business sector and have pivoted as well to target freelancers, which is amazing because we have lots more options. So what companies are we talking about today?
We're going to talk about 5 of them, as you said. So Zoom being the big one that everybody uses, obviously we're going to talk about that. And that's a really great comparison point. Then we're going to go to Classen, because that's actually a really big company that is working towards pivoting, like you said, to help us out. We've got Koala, which is relatively new on the scene, about 4 years old. RemoteHQ, which is, again, trying to help the teachers. They're more business focused, but working to help the teachers. And then Schoolified, which is about 2 years old, a year or 2 years old. And really, they're really at the foundational place where they're working to make it work for the teachers.
Right, exactly. So we've got a couple of companies here that were purpose-built for education, and a couple others that have segued from corporate settings, which is really cool because I think they all bring something to the board. From my perspective with Crystal Clear ESL, it's something I've been watching really closely because I ideally want to be able to recommend a company to Crystal Clear ESL teachers that facilitates all the interactive functionality of our curricula, but also makes it easy to teach and fun to teach. So I've been watching really closely and I'm excited to share what I've learned too. So let's start with the basics, Allison. How do the 5 companies stack up with regards to co-browsing versus screen sharing?
Great. So I think some of the, like we had talked about previously, Crystal, co-browsing is something a little bit more than just being able to see 2 screens together at the same time, both of you seeing the same thing. This is where your student can actually interact with what you have pulled up on your screen without having to share the remote control, that sort of thing, without having to do all of these extra steps so they can do it. And
or have an integrated and separate whiteboard, right? Like a co-browsing means that you can interact right on that slideshow or presentation or lesson without having to integrate another app for a whiteboard space. So the ones that score the highest are Koala and RemoteHQ. I think all 5 that we've mentioned, and probably a big reason why we've narrowed these 5 down out of such a wide array, is because they all offer some interactive functionality in co-browsing. But why would you say that Koala and RemoteHQ are the top ones?
So Koala for sure is definitely, I think, the lead in all of this, because they really listened to the teachers and heard that this is what we want. We want to be able to get in, bring our lessons up. The student can use their mouse to do everything. We don't have to say to a student who is maybe a level 1 student, all right, click, click, click. Okay, click, yeah, click, click. Okay, let's do, all right, now it's accessible, very accessible. And that's huge for us. And again, like you have said in the past, this annotations is not just writing on a whiteboard. It's writing on top of the slides. It's being able to really interact with what's going on in the classroom. And
yes,
you have the best experience with RemoteHQ. And you find the same thing with these guys as well?
Yeah, so the difference is they use a web browser, which is kind of what Koala does, and you bring the web-based curriculum up within their web browser and you can interact with it just as you would on Zoom with a PPT file, for example. So they're almost like taking co-browsing to the next level in that you can write on or annotate like any web page out there type thing, which is really helpful.
And these other companies, they can do some of these things like annotation, and you can see the other person's screen and maybe lend them your mouse, that sort of thing, but it's not as intuitive. It's not just pick up the mouse and you can do it. So, and it may not even have as much functionality as these two. These two definitely, they just tick off what we like about these things. Yes,
I think you hit it on the head with regards to Zoom. I think Zoom has a decent amount of functionality, but in practice, it is aimed at a corporate setting and adults, and so it's not quite as intuitive or user friendly for children, especially on if your clients are foreign speakers and don't speak English and they're having to navigate their side of the platform in English.
Exactly.
Right, which also lends itself to the question of touchscreen and iPad support, because this is vital. I think many students who migrated from the top companies in China that are now obviously shut down all had the capability to take their lessons on iPad, and ideally would like to continue that, but it's slim, isn't it? Like very few platforms have iPad support. Can you tell us more about that?
And I'm going to start again with Koala, because that's the one that I have the most experience with. And Koala really, again, has listened to the teachers and really tried to integrate it so that it works. And anytime they see that there are bugs, troubles with that, they're tweaking it to make it very, very integrative. Not only that, but they do have in-class support. So if you're if you're having an issue, they don't really understand it. They say, hey, can we watch what you're doing and see what it is? Or do you have time to sit with us in the classroom and we can work on this? And then
that is amazing.
But for everybody.
Yeah, that is so good. Yeah. So I would say at the moment, the most touch screen and iPad support probably comes from Koala, RemoteHQ, and a little bit with Zoom. With Zoom, you can share remote control to allow your students to click, but in most cases, if they're on iPad, they're limited to Koala or RemoteHQ.
Yes.
Fair to say? Yeah.
Yes, and that iPad piece, like you said before, is huge because the majority of kiddos are using iPads.
Yeah, absolutely. The other box that we've included in the basics is whether there is an integral chat function. So you can see here the only one that is yet to develop that within the classroom is Koala. So it just depends on the importance. I think chat comes more into play with older or more proficient learners anyways. Would you agree? Yeah.
I agree.
Let's click on to enhanced tools. So why don't you take us through this a little bit, Allison?
Sure. And I think that the lesson recording is pretty easy to understand, but there are different facets of how you can save that lesson recording. And you also have the out-of-class file sharing, which most of these you can do already in the classroom. But what can you do outside of the classroom after your class time? What can you give your kiddos later for work or for pre-work? And then same with the collaborative doc editing. There's a lot that's accessible in the classroom, what's accessible outside of the classroom. And then in the in-class quizzes and games, that one just really varies from platform to platform as far as what's accessible, because obviously you can pull things in, but some of these already have things that are built into the platform themselves.
Right, and we've got a star by Koala. Tell us from your experience, Allison, why that one is starred.
Yes, because they have the playground. You and I talked about this previously, and this is so popular, especially with the younger kids. I have one student in particular that I keep using as my point of reference, and he's very serious. He's very into the lesson and everything, but as soon as he sees that change of screen, and we talk through the time that we're in there, we're playing, it's fun, it's interactive, but there's still actually learning going on. So
yes,
that parent actually said to me, can we do the whole lesson?
I love it. Well, I guess you kind of can. Yeah, because, we're talking a lot about Koala Go, but actually there's also Koala 3D. So for teachers who do want that fully gamified experience, I would say check out Koala 3D because it's pretty awesome too. Yeah.
Think about that, but that's exactly right.
Yeah, you should. And just to say about the lesson recording and the out-of-class file sharing, what we have ticked off in this presentation are features that are available in the free or the base form, so the cheapest option. And with RemoteHQ, which I actually use for my own teaching, I pay for their pro version, which is pretty incredible with regards to lesson recording and out-of-class file sharing. And let me tell you why. So you can set your class to record, just like with a lot of other platforms. That saves to their cloud, and there's not currently any limit to how many recordings you can store within your membership. They said they'll look into imposing that down the road, but for now. And then they have apps like Zoom that you can integrate. For example, one app is a notes app. And if you add any text to that notes app, it's collaborative or non-collaborative as you choose, it auto-saves to the cloud within your session. So right after class time, when my student logs out, this is where I leave student feedback. I enter in, 2, 3, 4 sentences worth of feedback. It auto-saves. I exit my session. And if I'm supplying homework, I can also upload the files within the session. And then everything that has been created from that session, so the recording, the homework files, and my notes, my feedback notes, are saved within a public link. So I can just click to copy that link, share it over to mom or dad via WeChat or email, and then they have limitless access to those 3 things, which makes me come off as a really super organized and professional teacher, but it hasn't actually taken me any extra time. So it's a huge plus with remote RemoteHQ, and not one that I found as easy to use or as inexpensive as what's on offer elsewhere. But it's not available for free.
Yes, and I'll tell you too that with Zoom, I mean, I think a lot of people realize, especially with the basic version, you have to download that and save that on your own computer. It's not saved to the cloud. And not only that, but I've discovered if I do want to try to send it to my parents, I actually have to compress it, because I have parents in China who can't, they might be able to, you might be able to save this to Google Slides, Google Docs, Google
Drive. Yeah.
Thank you. But the parents in China can't access that.
No.
So it is a whole event for me to try to do all of that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
I have the online streamings that you can use, but after so many uses of that you have to start paying for that as well. And that's unfortunate. So if you can find that all in one place, that would be a very fortunate thing. And with school, they do actually offer something where you can do some recording, but they're very, very aware of privacy laws for children. And so if you get something that's just right integrated into everything, they're not going to do simply because of the privacy laws. So I don't think that's going to be something that you will ever see as like a top feature on their platform.
Interesting. Good to know. All right, let's talk about all-in-ones. I do see that the industry is moving toward integral platforms where, your classroom, your virtual classroom, your booking system, your payment portal, and what was the fourth thing that the payment. No, I said payment. What was the fourth thing?
Homework tracking, scheduling.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
All of it is integral. So some are moving toward that. Some are playing catch up. Tell us a little bit more.
This is such a fantastic thing, because all of us that have become independent teachers know that there are so many pieces that we have to do behind the scenes that we didn't have to do when we worked for the companies. And right now, or at least in the beginning of all of this, it was like, okay, I'm going to go to Calendly, and then I'm going to use my own personal email. And then how am I going to do homework tracking for these people? And then I have to set up Stripe. Oh, but I have to have a website to set up Stripe. It's a lot. It can get really, really overwhelming. So some of these companies are discovering, as they listen to what the teachers and watch as things change, that these are something that would really be very, very important for them to have in their platform to make them even more of a benefit to the teachers. I think Koala was the first one that we saw doing that. Well, actually, Crystal, you were the first one that offered the payment portal. You have that on your site. And then the next one I saw was Koala, because they will allow you to not only invoice the parents, but also have the parents pick up that invoice price, or you can pick up the invoice price through Stripe, whichever one it is. Yeah,
it's nice to have the choice.
It is. And the payment is really, really a big deal for those of us who do teach kids in China. That's a really big deal. So I think that is a very, very big one. But the ones that Classin offers as well, like these external features, again, I mean, you can't beat having these opportunities or these easy ways, these one-stop shop places to find these features so that you can use them. And just like you said a minute ago, it makes you look so organized and professional when it's all in just one place.
Yes.
It's all together.
And it's like amalgamating dozens of decisions that you'll have to make as you get started into one, and just being all set to go. This is one thing I love about Schoolified, is they have really given it some thought and taken into consideration everything that a freelance tutor might need to do or keep organized, and they just put it all under one banner or package. And so, I think that part is a no-brainer.
Yeah, Schoolified, when they came on my radar, it's like, the sun came out that day. I was so excited, because there it is. I mean, look at the comparison chart. Nobody else does what they do. And it really is, if that's your priority, I mean, it's really easy to see where you want to go.
Right. Yes, absolutely. And so you don't have to have the Calendly, you don't have to have the, Stripe or anything. It's just all there.
And let me say too about Schoolified, their platform works in such a way that you don't even have to have a website. You can have your profile on their platform and do everything under their name. If you do have a website, you can integrate all of their, he calls it widgetizing. You can integrate all of their widgets into your website so it stays all branded within your brand. So it's a very sleek, clean model, which again, I really like.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about stability. This was one, to be honest, when we were collaborating and creating the presentation, Allison had tick marks, I think, right across the board, and I went through and I was like, I don't think it's that straightforward. I will 100% agree that of all of the platforms I have tried and that I pay attention to and see teachers commenting about, Zoom is by bar none the most stable. Do you think so too, Allison?
I think not only that, but I think that the companies, if you talk to any of these reps from any of these companies, they will agree with you. You know, if you talk to somebody from Classin or Koala, they're going to say, yeah, they really are.
They're setting the bar. Yes, exactly. Classin, Koala, RemoteHQ, I'm not sure, probably also Schoolified in there, have stability issues. And I think it's because they're working so hard to develop so quickly that it's almost that they can't keep up with the growth. And you know, and it's not a fault because we want to see them develop, and some of the companies do better than others on listening to teachers who are reporting faults and correcting them quickly, but I think they all have a little bit of a ways to go to measure up to Zoom.
I think the other thing too, Crystal, is that Zoom really is, when you think about what teachers love to have in the classroom, they like bells and whistles, they like pretty things. They like the shiny stuff, and Zoom is not shiny. But
no, it's bare bones.
Right. The other ones are really working to make these classrooms more like a classroom where, you know, it's fun, it's engaging. There's a lot of pretty shiny things, and that makes a difference too on what kind of bandwidth you're using.
You are so right, and I think that it's unrealistic for any tutor that wants to work online to not invest in high quality internet because there are expectations of bandwidth, and if you don't want something bare bones, then you need to make sure that you're compensating for that. And it even goes so far, what I've experienced, because I admit I'm currently swapping internet providers because the one we've got currently is shockingly bad, but one thing that I learned was even if your student is the one experiencing the problems, it can be because of your connection. So that you may not notice the issues that your connection is causing on your side, but the repercussions of those are being felt on your student side. So just be aware that before you sort of like blame your student's internet, although they are often poor, it might actually be your own internet.
That's right. And a lot of teachers, I think a lot of us are so accustomed to using Wi-Fi that we don't think about using our Ethernet, which does make a difference. Also, if you think about the way or the service that you use, like in my neighborhood, last night, my service is on it because nobody's on the internet because our neighborhood all uses this same amount of bandwidth.
Right.
And in the mornings, it slows down. It just makes a difference. So again, just like you're saying, you have to be aware of on your side what is affecting the stability across the board as well as
Right. So at least one of these companies, what they may lack in stability, they make up for in eagerness to providing class tech support and listen to the problem. So tell us more about your experience with that in Koala.
So again, one of the things that Koala has added recently in the last few weeks is a help button in their classroom. And maybe it's been in the last 6 weeks. And literally you click on that and it's kind of, again, like VIP Kid, except that, you know, here comes Ben, here comes Noah. Somebody is in there in your classroom.
What? It's like the founders.
You know, they're chatting with you, and then they say, "Hey, can I come in the classroom and watch what's going on?" And I've asked the parent, you know, this is, you know, what's happening with our issues. Is it okay if Ben comes in and watches what's going on, and Ben's in there saying, "Hey, Mr. Lee, hey, George, let's see what's going on." So it's really are very, very quick and very helpful when it comes to in-class tech support. Absolutely.
Yeah, it would be great to see more of that across the board, because I think it's so important for teachers who have segued from contracted roles to feel like they have a support system or someone that they can call on in those situations that are, you feel so flustered, and probably we're not all tech whizzes. And so just that helping hand and reassurance that something's being done is really, I think, comforting.
Exactly. Yeah. Totally agree. Absolutely.
And then some of the companies take it a step farther and will offer like training seminars. And again, Koala's right at the top for that, but you can jump in seminars from Schoolified and Zoom. And I think a lot of these companies could use that in a way like Classin, for instance. There are a ton of teaching related features that probably most users don't even know about.
So much to offer in their classroom. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and right. I agree with you. I think within Classin, they have a whole list of tutorials. So if you get in Classin and you're using things, they've got a place of recorded tutorials. And there are so many of them. The thing that for me, when I got in there, I saw this huge list. That was overwhelming. And then all of them were about 20 minutes long, which again, I'm like, you've got 100 things listed here at 20 minutes each. There is no way I've got time for this. I was like, this is going to work for me. And I had the exact same thought you did, Crystal. I said they really would benefit their teachers so much by getting on one of their Facebook groups, whether it's monthly or weekly, whatever works for them, and having, we're going to talk about this particular feature that we have, because first of all, they're going to go, you have what? Because there's so much in there. And then, you've got somebody you can ask the questions, and even if it's a long seminar or a short one, whatever it is, however they do it, you've got somebody who's literally just showing you right there. You can get involved, you can do it at the same time, you could ask questions. It's so different than having that little library that they have. That's just really overwhelming to me.
Yeah, I agree. I think some of the smaller companies or up-and-coming companies also offer demos, like one-to-one demos. And I'd say if that's on offer, take it. I segue from Zoom to RemoteHQ, and I really benefited from a demo because although RemoteHQ hasn't got all the bells and whistles of Classen, let's say, it is highly versatile in terms of the way that the layout can be configured and what some of your options are. And so it really helped me boost my confidence using it by having someone show me around. So if that's out there, take it.
Yes, and I know Schoolified has that one-on-one demo option as well. And they also are working on free training for their teachers. And I will tell you, if you are not on their website, whether it's their Schoolified teacher website or their Schoolified kind of official, not website, Facebook page, excuse me. If you're not on their Facebook pages and you're interested in this, you need to get on there, because that is the place that you find out about these. They just put it up there. And I think the last time you and I did something with them, they gave us a $5 gift card to Starbucks. So you never know.
That's true.
Some offers like that still out there on their Facebook pages. And they are really, because they are, at the beginning, they really want teacher feedback. They really want you to learn. And they have some amazing training, not just about the technology, but I'm actually doing some of their business training right now that they're offering for free. So being an independent,
that's amazing.
They're offering that. Yeah, that's a big part for them. They really want people to be successful, learn how to scale, and make this financially feasible for teachers.
Right. Perfect. So teacher feedback is the last one in this section, and we touched on it earlier with RemoteHQ, but you can leave it in the notes. Classen and Koala also, and Schoolified also allow teacher feedback. How do those ones work?
So I'll tell you, Crystal, I think you and I actually looked at this one a little bit differently. I think you're looking at it from giving the teacher feedback, and I'm actually looking at it as do these companies listen
Do
to
they seek
their feedback?
I hear you.
So I'll say that both of Koala and Schoolified are top notch with that. Classin also does this. They do it a little bit more, not as quite as out in front of the whole audience as everybody it does, because their changes take longer to implement because they are such a big company, but they are listening to their teachers and making some serious changes as speak. But you tell me about teacher feedback, because I think what you're saying is really vital for teachers as well.
Yeah, so I was just going to say, similar to RemoteHQ, I know that Classin offers like a pop-up box function, and it appears both on the student side and the teacher side. When any session ends, you can rate that other person with stars and leave written feedback. And one of the things I learned that's really cool is that is then auto sent to the other party. So that makes feedback, as we remember it from VIP Kid and others, just like such a quick, painless task to do, because it's just automated for you. So,
and again, it's just one more thing that's done. It's not something that you get out of this tool to go into this tool to get to this tool, send it in your email onto the parent. And so that again, to have everything integrated like that is huge.
It's super easy. Yeah, no, but I think the feedback that you mentioned is vital. And I suspect that companies that don't correspond with teachers and interact and seek their feedback are not the ones that are going to last in the industry.
Right. At least not in our industry. So it's going to be there forever. And I think teachers, as long as they have a free version, are going to take advantage of Zoom.
100%.
In our industry, the teachers that have the long haul, go for the long haul, I think they're going to be investing their money in one of these, and it's got to be something that listens to teachers, because otherwise
100%. Yeah. So I think what everybody wants to know is about this slide, the pricing. And let me just remind everyone, if you've got questions, you can save them till the end, or you can post them right away in the comments. We will receive a notification about 10 seconds after you post them. But just make sure to register with StreamYard very quickly first, so that we can see who we're talking to. Pricing, Allison, they are varied. Look at this. I mean, 4 out of 5 options offer a free version. What do you think about that? I think that freelancers are frugal.
I'm telling you, and I don't know how it is across the world, but teachers in America, I love your word frugal. It's so much kinder than the word that I'm going to use, because I'm a former classroom teacher, and frankly, if I could get it for free, that's the way I'm going to go, because teachers invest so much money in their classroom, in what they're doing. You do this because you have a heart for these kiddos, and we tend to forget that we have to get paid and eat food and buy groceries, and so we spend money on these other things. So when it comes to things that we don't necessarily see the big picture, the value. Does this make sense? And it's not like we don't understand the value of the platform, but if you can't show me with Zoom why it's worth $15 a month, I'm not paying for it.
Right.
It's not giving me what I need. If you can show me with something like Koala why it's worth $19 a month, I'm gonna consider it. But I'm still probably, if there's a cheap or a free version, I'm gonna go there. So if there's not a free version, like with RemoteHQ, I know you get I think a free month, but you have to put in your credit card information to get that free month. So personally, for me, I'm not even going to do it. I'm going to check first.
Right. And I mean, a lot of people feel the same about curriculum, but the fact is you get what you pay for. So I pay for 2 different platforms. And for me, paying for Zoom is great because I can record lessons to the cloud and send them off. I know it's a bit of a sore spot for many teachers, seeing that Zoom has recently changed their policy so that their free version cuts off again after 40 minutes. I will remind people that that was how they worked pre-pandemic as well, that they only made it I think they only made it unlimited because of the pandemic. And so they're sort of rolling back to their earlier ways. they're a business after all, and I think that a lot of people who are getting the full meal deal for free would just continue on forever. So they have to think about profitability. And do I think that their basic paid version is worth $15 a month? I don't know. There's competition sneaking up. So,
Definitely.
but there are some good features or reasons rather to pay their base version. Yeah, and RemoteHQ, like you said, they don't have a free lifetime version. And they do come across as quite pricey if you go to their website, because they have just recently shifted from the B2B corporate model and different use cases. So I think they haven't quite got a handle on what it means for freelancers. But if you check my website, Crystal Clear ESL, or www.esl-curriculum.com, and visit the resources page, I've got an exclusive freelance teacher discount of 35% for life. So it knocks a big chunk off what you see online and makes it more in line with what you would pay elsewhere. So that's why you see the $10 and the $20 listed here. And again, I pay RemoteHQ's premium version to have access to the lesson recordings and that public link to share feedback and stuff with my students. So it's pretty good for that. But Allison, I know that you use Koala. Do you pay for their upgraded version?
I do. And the reason that I do that is because the difference between their free version and their paid version is simply that collaborative time that you can have with your students. So if you decide to sign up for Koala, I believe it's a 2-week time of free features, of all the features being free. Now, everything is free, again, except for the co-browsing. And that is because they have to pay for that. And so they need to be able to pay for it. And the co-browsing tends to be kind of expensive because, again, we're talking about bandwidth, and it just gets more expensive the more that you add into what you're doing.
Right.
Now, the co-browsing to me is a huge feature. And especially when it comes to Koala and what you can do in there, it's huge. So I am willing to pay for that. And then I use the free Zoom version for another student because to me, they don't offer enough for me to want to pay in comparison to what my student wants in that particular classroom.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And do keep in mind, too, that Koala and RemoteHQ are currently the only options out there. If you're wanting full annotative capability with a web-based curriculum, such as Crystal Clear ESL or any of the other options, you need to have a co-browsing or web browser function. So, and then we look at Schoolified, and then suddenly like 2 to 3 times more. But why is that, do you think?
So, we have both talked with Laurent, who is the CEO of Schoolified. I've talked to Ryan, who's kind of the face of Schoolified, and talked a little bit about what these sorts of things are. I'm not 100% clear on this. Now, I'm sure if we asked Laurent right now, he'd be able to tell us exactly how this works. But their core features are always free. So everything that you need, basically what we talked about, it's always free. Now, this is on their website, and I'm looking at it right now to make sure that I've got these facts correct. Now, if you go with $35 a month, it's everything that was free, along with being able to integrate Schoolified to your website, the payment gateway, so being able to invoice your parents, and then access to professional development, like I was talking about taking these classes. So that's $35 a month.
So actually, to measure up to the competition, you don't need to pay that, because a lot of other platforms that are in contention don't offer the payment portal or the web integration or the training either. So if you're talking like for like, it's a great price. But isn't there a caveat with regards to the student side as well?
So if you're putting some of these costs over onto the parents, per class, there's a $1.99 per class fee that goes to the parents. Now, when they invoice the parent, they just add that $1.99 per class on top of there. So if you want to make that part of what you are saying your price is, you're going to have to subtract $2 from your price before you enter it into their page. So if you've got $65
Right.
per hour, say, then you want to make sure when you enter it into the Schoolified page, it says 63 or $63.01, so that it comes out to an equal $65.
Right, but it's not so transparent in terms of the student will still see that they're paying an admin fee, and you will have to be clear with them that you've lowered your price to account for that. It's not. There's no real way to roll it all into one price.
I do not think that it says on the invoice class price, Schoolified admin price, total price. I don't think, from talking to Ryan about this yesterday, I don't think that's the case.
Okay.
It just has one fee on there. So again, if you want the parents to eat the price, so to speak, of your Stripe payments, then you need to, it's either going to be added on top of this. So you say $65 and it says, $70, or you just say, hey, my price is $70, and it says,
right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Right. That has been a lot of information. So let's break it down to the love it and leave it. What do we love the most about Zoom, Allison?
Definitely the stability, because like you said before, it's the industry standard.
It is, and it's the one they all measure up against. But at the same time, they are leaving behind some of the all singing, all dancing teaching integrations that we might like to use. It's a really basic interface.
Right.
Yeah. On the exact other side of the spectrum is Classin, and we love that they have an incredibly robust Blackboard. You can drop all kinds of files in there, and tell us more, Allison.
Yeah, they have resources in there for chemistry classes, for physics classes, for all, electrical circuit building. I mean, when you say robust Blackboard, someone might say, how can a Blackboard be robust? What is that?
Yes.
But they've got so many pieces. It's like no matter what you're teaching, there's some tool in there or multiple tools in there. They've got dice that you can roll. It's got so many.
Yeah. Well, and I think that, so the reason for this is because Classen got their start within China as a B2B company for public schools primarily, and, later for academies. Bling ABC, for example, that I used to teach with back in the day, used to be hosted on Classen. Yeah. So this is why they have so many integrated education-based features, but it is also why we would leave it because of their awkward pricing system. They are still using a usage-based or credit-based pricing system that stems from their B2B corporate days on a freelance market. And I think a lot of freelancers shy away from that. What do you think, Allison?
It's so confusing. I see people who are using Classin, who love Classin. They say, this is the best thing for me, except the pricing is a nightmare. And I think nightmare is too strong, but even on their page, even on their pricing page right now, if you want to get the pro version, they offer it. It says, if you buy 500 credits, if you buy 100 credits, we'll give you 500 credits. But if on the page, it says buy 100, get 500. It doesn't
tell you what that costs. And if you click through, I've done this myself, you click through and you go to buy credits, the first bundle that they suggest costs $1,500. So it's a little out of reach for a lot of teachers, and I think they do offer a great product, but not a lot of reason at the moment to take your chances with what the cost will be, because you don't know and you can't plan around it. And I personally would like to see that be a bit more transparent.
And I do see people, and I just want to remind people that it still is, it has so much accessibility as the free version. But I also do see a lot of people who have chosen to go ahead and upgrade, and they love the upgrades too. So not to throw the baby out with the bathwater just because the pricing is.
It's worth a step. for the Pro. There are a lot more features in the Pro version. Yeah. Let's talk about Koala. What do you love about it?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I love the playground, and their customer service is the top. I can't think of another company that I've worked with for anything that has the customer service that Koala has. I mean, like you said just a moment ago, you're going to find one of their founders doing tech support, or, you email them or message them, they're emailing you back. You're talking to Xavier and Ben. And so their team is fantastic. So nice, so intelligent. I love them. So I have a little bit of fangirl thing going on for, the customer service with Koala for sure.
Yeah, I think they've got it right. And it's nice to feel appreciated and part of something. I think freelancers within the Koala realm actually feel like they're driving the development of the company, which...
Beautifully said.
Yes.
Beautifully.
Yeah. It's wonderful. On the other hand, their product does take a toll on the bandwidth, and therefore they have had to overcome some pretty big stability obstacles and are still doing so. So that's probably the primary thing that has kept me away from Koala, because I love them like you, but I don't cope well in techie situations, particularly when I'm trying to teach like a professional lesson.
Right.
If your internet drops, and like I said, mine hasn't been the greatest, I just couldn't chance it. So who knows? Maybe when I get my new internet company.
Yeah, and again, like we said too, this is definitely something they continue to work on. They even changed their product from Koala 3D to Koala Go to meet some of the issues, and it's improved so much too.
Yeah. And again, so funny, RemoteHQ, unfortunately, is on the other end of the spectrum from Koala with regards to customer service. That's the main thing that I would leave. Like, they're not hugely responsive. They don't seem to have a presence in the freelancer groups. I know that they want to develop the freelance use case, but their investment seems still more geared toward B2B and corporate.
Yeah, and I agree because, again, customer service to me is huge, and that's just a personal thing for me. And my first encounter with their customer service was not good. And so, I mean, it was non-existent. I mean, maybe even a step below non-existent. And so I haven't invested time or resources in them at all.
Right, I agree, and I would say Zoom hasn't been much better.
I think that needs to be on the top of their priority list for sure.
Yeah, I'll work on it. But on the other hand, they're one of the few companies that offer iPad support, so that's a draw. And to be fair to them, when I approached them and finally kind of made a link with their exec team, I said, your pricing is just unachievable for freelancers. What are you going to do? And they offered this discount. So it's not to say they aren't making any effort. Right. It just doesn't feel maybe like a priority. So,
right. And it may just not be, and I don't mean to minimize it at all, but sometimes it's just a skill set that people don't have. Do you know what I'm saying? Some people really have that emotional intelligence, and other people don't realize the effect of what they're communicating or how it's being perceived. So, and don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Right.
Okay, and Schoolified, what do you love and what do you leave?
Oh, again, I just love Schoolified's all in one. Love it, love it, love it, love it.
Yeah.
Yes, this is so fantastic to me because, again, when you're just new to this, or whether you've been doing this even for a little while, to have somebody who is taking care of all of these pieces in one place. Oh, so wonderful.
Yeah, it makes the tutor's job so much easier. But at the same time, you are paying for the benefit. So, if you're going to pay more, then maybe shop around for that product that does do everything. And the other reason why I think we decided to leave it on the pricing side of things was because of the parents' end and some of the costs being bumped over to parents, but also like you're not given an option as a tutor necessarily. So
take it
Yeah.
yourself or to give it off. Yeah,
That's right.
And I think this is something, just because it's not real solid when I'm communicating with people, I think it's something that they're still working the bugs out. So I would still keep my eye on Schoolified. I think their pricing model is actually going to be something that's very beneficial to the teachers when it's all said and done, when they know exactly what it is and when they communicate it to the teachers.
Yeah. And they have a free version and they do everything. So you're literally ticking all your boxes for that one price. So, I mean,
love it. Love it.
Yeah,
love
for sure. Well, we're at 50 minutes and we talked about 5 of the top companies. I think we've been pretty brutally honest, Allison, but I would hesitate to tell the viewers again, like, these are our 5 best choices and these are the companies that we rate the most highly out of dozens, if not hundreds of options out there. So we want our viewers to really feel secure in their decision and that they know the features that are compatible with each choice. And there you have it. Any final words?
I just want to say, coming up in the next week or two, there will be a video on my YouTube channel that I think is going to be a great comparison as well. It's going to go along with this video that we're doing right now, but a little bit more of a kind of a fun twist, fun take on it. So you'll still get the information, but it's going to be just a little bit of a different take on this. So, and I think the two of these are going to play really well together. So please do visit my YouTube site so that you'll be aware of that. And I'm probably, yes, thank you very much, Crystal. And I'm going to hopefully do a little bit of chatting with some of the stars of this show, including our very own Crystal here. Crystal Weber is a lead voice in this. So you definitely don't want to miss out on that because she is amazing. If she didn't
I was going to say hilarious in the way like, oh my goodness, what's this woman doing? But thanks for having me on that. And when it is up, I will post it in the comments here. So be sure to scroll down and take a look at that. And please do seek out Edudaptable as well as Crystal Clear ESL YouTube channels and subscribe for more great content like this. Thank you so much for joining me to discuss the virtual classrooms today, Allison. As always, it has been so much fun and great to see you.
Thank you, Crystal, for asking me and allowing me to do this. It has been wonderful. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. See you soon, everyone. Bye.